Good morning everybody, welcome to Sunday's edition of Indycar. My name is Gordon Ross and on today's show I'll be talking about blockchain. Now a lot of people don't know what the hell blockchain is, so I'll explain, but it's a way of using a computer system to vote. And in recent months I've mentioned it a lot of times in relation to the security of the next independence referendum. People are worried about votes being lost, stolen or interfered with by various parties, and so to get around this problem I had suggested the use of blockchain. Now blockchain is a computerized system. It's actually a piece of software which is shared amongst millions of computers. It's not a central computerized system in the sense that you would normally understand it. This is a piece of software. It's called a blockchain ledger, and it's a record of transactions, and the system when you apply it to your own computer downloads itself into your computer system. So it's a piece of software like an application, and it downloads the ledger automatically onto your computer. And that ledger can be used for a lot of different things. It can be used to make purchases securely, it can be used to transfer money between bank accounts, it can be used to pay for things, it can be used to issue invoices, and interestingly it can be used to vote. Now there's been a lot of talk about using blockchain as a methodology for voting in the next Scottish referendum, or indeed in elections in general, but nobody has been able to find any information on where it's being successfully used. However, interestingly, on LinkedIn recently, which I've been a member of for some time, there was an interesting article in there on businesses in Slovenia. Slovenia until recently was a former Eastern Bloc country sandwiched on Europe's sort of eastern boundary and surrounded by former Soviet states. Slovenia has a very small population, only about 1 million people. But Slovenia is the first nation I've found which has an entirely blockchain-based economy. Not only is its economy blockchain-based, but so is its election system. It's been employed for a number of years now. They use it also to underpin cryptocurrencies. These are online forms of money which are used to buy and sell goods online, the sort of currency which is used in the cyber world. However, what's interesting about it is they have a successful blockchain voting system in which everybody in the country of voting age has a unique identity and has a blockchain system on their computers, on their phones, on their tablets, and it enables that person to deal with any other entity in the blockchain system and know exactly who they are talking to, because everybody's identity is unique and everybody's identity can be verified on the system. It cannot be hacked because it's not a centralized system. There are millions of computers in the blockchain system in Slovenia. Anyway, the idea is that when you're registering to vote, there are unique identifiers which you set, which identify you as a human being at the other end of the system. Now in a blockchain is a kind of queue of information, a queue of transactions which happens in a particular chain of these reactions. And on that blockchain, each person can make an entry into the ledger. Now if the ledger is a vote, it might have, say, yes and no columns. So you, having already registered to vote, say months beforehand, would first identify yourself to the system, so it knows who you are, it knows where you are, and it knows that you're a real person. You're then allowed to vote, you place your vote on the ledger, and it instantly appears on the ledger. Now that ledger also then updates 1 million other computers, so everybody else in the chain can see that transaction. The transaction cannot be removed once it's on the ledger, and it cannot be interfered with by anybody else on the system. Even somebody from outside the system trying to break into it would be detected instantly by the software and would be tossed out. So it's a system which can't be hacked, and it certainly cannot be hacked by anybody from inside the system itself. Because every single copy of the ledger that exists on everybody's machines. It's not held in one central computer, so it's not liable to be hacked or overwhelmed by outside cyber attacks. Anyway, Slovenia has got this system, and it's highly successful, and they can do instant transactions with anybody in any country and any company instantaneously from any point of the blockchain system in Slovenia, which means that they can move much faster to close business deals or to make purchases or acquisitions, to pay bills and to give invoices. So there'll be no tedious waiting for 6 months for an invoice. Your bills are paid just like that. As soon as you send an invoice, you're expecting the blockchain to complete that transaction. So the system, although it's not absolutely perfect, it is at least secure, and everybody in Slovenia is a part of it, and everybody trusts it. That's the key element here, is trust, and this is what is missing from the Scottish election system at the moment, is trust in it has been damaged. Over years and years of gerrymandering and vote rigging and postal voting, all of these things have meant that we've lost faith in the system. And the fact that there is a country in Europe which exists, which uses blockchain for almost all of its daily transactions and almost all of its elections is interesting, and it's the first time I've seen it. But it just goes to prove that there's nothing stopping Scotland, which has 5 times the population of Slovenia, which has got just as highly an educated set of people at the top, could easily employ the same system that is working in Slovenia. All I have to do is pick up the phone to the Slovenian government and say, how did you do it? And they'll tell us. And I'm sure if the SNP government of Scotland decided to send a party over to Slovenia, they could show them the software firsthand and perhaps even sell us a copy of it. It's not rocket science. The nice thing about computer technology and applications is they're almost an instant success, because as soon as you've got a copy of it, if it's licensed, there's a license fee to pay, but so what? You pay the license fee, you download your software and you get going. All it would take is for everybody in the vote on the voters' roll in Scotland to be signed up to the system. Now that would take a bit of effort, but there's no reason why a blockchain application cannot be designed for mobile phones, for tablets, for laptops and PCs, so that there should be no excuse for everybody on the electoral register having a method of voting, even if it's just a mobile phone screen where they are registered with their unique identifiers. And when an election is called, all they have to do is pick up the phone, log on to the system and vote yes or no, or whatever party they want. It's not rocket science, and there is absolutely no reason why we can't do it. If Slovenia can do it with 1 million people, there's nothing to stop Scotland, with all of its wealth, employing the... Sorry about the break in transmission there. I'm going to wind up now anyway. This is a quick broadcast just to let you know that a blockchain voting system is successfully being used in Europe by another country. So all we have to do is find out from the Slovenians how they did it and then do it here. Anyway, I'm off. I've got to do some work, but as usual, if you have opinions on the subject, please contact me on Facebook or by messenger in the usual way. I'll see you later. Bye for now.